everyone, and welcome back to the Joy-Filled Universe podcast. I am your host, Lisa Ryan, and today we are talking about something that I think so many of us can experience from time to time, most especially when we are trying so hard to manifest something incredible into our lives. And this happens to be the feelings that we get when we believe or start feeling like our manifestations have come to a slow roll. Do you know what I mean? Even if it's like, we've done everything right, we've set the intention, built the vision board, we journal, the whole thing, and we couple it all with lots of joy and excitement too. And then nothing, or at least that's how we feel. And if you happen to be anything like me, when I set intentions or goals, I secretly expect the universe to move at the speed of Amazon Prime. Because I'm like, okay, universe, I made my vision board this morning, so why has my desire not showed up on my doorstep? Because it's the end of the day. And I absolutely believe that that type of expectation is a reflection of the world that we live in today, because it is a very on-demand kind of culture, right? Like, we don't write letters anymore and then mail them and wait a week for a response or even more. Rather, we just send a text message or a DM and we expect a reply within minutes. And many people don't even go to the grocery store anymore and walk aisle to aisle collecting all their ingredients. Instead, they just order their groceries online and have them dropped off at their front door. I mean, what's not to love about that? What about movies? We stream our movies on applications like Netflix. And if we want dinner tonight, we just DoorDash it and we can get whatever we want. There truly isn't much that we can't have or access within a very short period of time. And so it is no wonder that somewhere along the way, we can unintentionally start expecting our manifestations to work in a very similar way. But the universe, the universe does not operate on urgency. It operates on energetic alignment. And that can sometimes be hard for us to accept. However, we really cannot control most of the external things involved in creating our dreams. We can't force timing, we can't force opportunities, we can't force people, and we can't force outcomes. But what we can control is our energy. And so that all just happened to be a very long way of me getting around to saying, today's episode is all about what to do when our manifestation momentum feels like it has slowed down, and how we can get ourselves back into alignment without spiraling into feelings of frustration, anxiety, scarcity, and worse yet, fear. Because I'll be honest, lately, your girl has found herself in a bit of a stall. And I applied some of these go-to techniques, and I am feeling like I'm getting back on track very quickly. So if you can relate to any of this, or if you can't, and you just happen to be a manifesting machine, then these high vibe back on track hacks, they're for all of us, okay? You can either be in your stall or manifesting your best life, but we can apply these anywhere. And so I'm just going to get started, and I'm going to kick it off with listening to subliminal messages. In fact, I have grown extremely fond of the subliminals that are not buried underneath calming frequency sounds or music. Rather, we can just hear the messages being spoken, and there is usually some really nice music that just plays softly in the background. Anyway, this type of subliminal messaging is excellent because our subconscious mind is still absorbing them, and we get to hear them too. And what works best for me, I'm just going to say, is that when I put a subliminal on at night as I'm falling asleep, because we go into that theta state. And I am not kidding. Within a day, I notice a shift. And it's not necessarily because my circumstances just magically changed overnight. It's because I change overnight. I do. I wake up feeling lighter. I feel more hopeful, more focused, and best of all, I feel confident in knowing that what I ask for and I believe is coming to me, I will receive it. And so subliminals help level up our energy. And from there, our perception changes. And when that happens, we start to notice that we become an energetic version of ourselves that naturally aligns with our desires. Okay, now the next one here is practicing gratitude. And I am not talking about the gratitude practices that we do routinely, like writing down 3 to 5 to 10 things that we're grateful for each day, which is truly powerful. So let's not discount that one single bit. However, what I'm talking about, and you might find this to be a little bit odd, but I learned this concept through reading a book called The Divine Matrix and also through learning about the Japanese spiritual practice of Shinto. And one of the core ideas here is that spiritual energy exists within things that hold connection, meaning, or life force. And what that looks like for me is I thank everything. I thank my home, I thank my car, I thank my running shoes, my laptop, and I always thank the universe for supporting me. And I know that this might sound silly to some people, but I genuinely believe that energy responds to energy. I really do. I believe we are all vibrational beings, and when we intentionally pour appreciation into things around us, it raises our frequency along with the frequency of what's around us. Almost like tuning forks, right? You strike one fork and it starts to resonate, and another nearby fork begins doing the same thing. And I think gratitude works the same way because it tunes us back into abundant frequencies. All right, now the next thing that I do when my manifestations feel kind of slow is I start living into the life I desire before it arrives. And this is actually a really good one. And I actually really love doing it. It's kind of like a dress rehearsal. So say that our desire is traveling more. Well, one thing that we can do is start taking little trips, like a long weekend to someplace close by. Because even if we are just going on small adventures, we are giving ourselves the feeling of traveling. And we are also teaching our subconscious mind and our nervous system that this is who we are now. And some other ways that we can live into our desired life is, say we want to manifest our dream home. Then one thing that we can do is get started looking at houses that fit the description of what we want. Seriously, go to open houses, walk the neighborhoods and chat up the neighbors, talk to the realtors, and take a photo of yourself in front of the home because being in the picture is really important. And if you're allowed to, just snap a picture of yourself in the home too. And by no means at any given point in time think that you cannot afford the home. Stay focused on possibility because it's not our job to worry about the hows. Remember, it's our job to get clear on what it is that we want and to focus on removing any resistance that could be blocking us in any kind of way. And the truth be told here, I am telling you about this house example because I have personally experienced this very manifestation. So when I lived in Texas, it was during the pandemic, and I felt like the entire planet was moving to the Lone Star State because there were no homes to be found. Every house that went on the market was snatched up in minutes. So I started to look at new builds, and I went to meet with a builder, and I found like the perfect model that I wanted, and only to find out after I was like, oh, this is it. And I studied all the floor plans, etc. And when I told them this is the one I wanted, they said that they had just built the last of this particular floor plan, and all of them were spoken for. Well, I was a little bit disappointed, but then I caught myself because I was not going to accept that. So I asked if they had a wait list, and the lady there was like, yes, but the list is quite long. To which I said, I still want to be added to the list, please. So she said, okay, you're number 52. Anyway, I was in the model home that they were also using as like their on-site sales office. So I snapped some photos of myself in different areas of the home. And then I went back to where I was staying that night. It was an apartment at the time. So I went back there and I fell asleep visualizing myself in my new home. Everything, right? The way it looked, the way I decorated it, the way it smelled, the way the front door sounded when I was opening it, all of it. And then before completely falling asleep, I remember saying, thank you, God. Thank you, Source. Thank you, angels. Thank you, master teachers. And thank you, universe. And then I completely let go. I woke up the next morning and I didn't think much about the house at all. I just got my day started, and at some point in the day, I got a call from one of the builder's representatives, and she said that she remembered me coming in the day prior, and she had overheard my conversation with the other rep and noticed my joy and appreciation for the home. So she had received a call that morning, I think it was, from one of her clients who no longer wanted to purchase a home, and it happened to be the exact model that I wanted. So she said it was already like 70% complete, like it was almost built, and was wondering if I would like to buy it. Well, I dashed into my car. I drove to the neighborhood right away, and I loved the location of where it was, and I gave them a deposit. And so just like that, I went from number 52 on the wait list to being an owner within less than 24 hours. So it can happen. Seeing ourselves in the picture is so powerful because it is a clear message to us that it is possible. We emotionally move into our dream before the manifestation physically arrives. And I know that it works. Living into our desire before it manifests. Yes, that is a really good one. Okay, another one that I love to do when I need a little manifestation revival is very hard for me. And that is to stop obsessively checking our metrics. And what I mean by this is stop checking the number of likes that we are receiving. Stop checking the number of followers or comments that are coming our way. And for me, I stop obsessively looking at the number of daily podcast downloads that I happen to be getting, and I stop staring at any other social media analytics that are connected to me. And the real reason why I do this is because when I am constantly checking and the results don't meet my expectations, my vibe is lowered instantly. Or when I am constantly checking and my expectations are exceeded, anything less than that becomes a bit of a disappointment as time goes forward. And in both cases, I almost immediately shift from alignment into chasing validation. And we don't have to be experts to know that manifesting cannot thrive in desperation. It thrives in trusting the universe. And so sometimes we need to lovingly detach from that scoreboard because it is just like planting that seed, right? The more we stare at the soil, the harder it becomes to trust that the seed we planted is absolutely growing, even if we can't see it yet. So let's be so careful not to hand our emotional state over to a number while riding the highs and the lows of those analytics. And by constantly checking, we are also training ourselves. So let's be so careful not to hand our emotional state over to a number while riding the highs and the lows of the analytics. And also, by constantly checking our likes, we are also training ourselves to seek validation instead of alignment. All right. The next thing I do is something really simple because we need something simple after that one. And that is sending appreciation messages to people that I care about. Sometimes it's just like a quick text. Sometimes it's a voice note. Sometimes it's a phone call. And I just tell my someone special, like, hey, I appreciate you, or I'm grateful for you. And what's so sweet about doing this is most of the time people respond with so much love, and that energy just boomerangs back to us because love multiplies, encouragement multiplies, and connection multiplies too. And when we are in like a manifestation slump, one of the fastest ways to raise our vibration is to become a source of light for somebody else, which really feels just so much like a win-win because we're lifting each other up. And I love that for us. All right, moving right along. And I think this is actually my last one. And it is simply movement. Movement is huge for me because stagnant energy creates stagnant emotions. And a really fun fact, I totally love hula hooping and I'm actually pretty good at it. So sometimes I'll throw on just amazing music and just hula hoop around my place like I'm starring in my own happiness montage. And it honestly works. If the weather's actually really nice too, or super amazing, instead of hula hooping, I go out for a run or a walk in nature. And if I don't have time for hula hooping or walking or running, one of the things I do is I just simply move my body wherever I happen to be. I love to dance in the kitchen and while I'm making my meals or just collecting my lunch together or just, I don't know, cleaning up. I stretch or I just shake out my energy because movement helps release what's getting stuck. And since I just said energy getting stuck, I would be remiss if I did not give a shout out to something that also works in an instant. And it takes like 5 minutes to do. And that is the emotional freedom technique tapping. And I'm not going to elaborate too much on this one because we just did an episode on it. So if you're curious, please have a listen. It is life-changing. It really is, most especially if it's a daily practice. I've been actually doing it too for almost every single morning. That's where I'm trying to do it, in my mornings. And it is a massive difference for me. And I also notice like a pretty big difference when I stop tapping. So I'm just going to put that one out there. EFT, it's definitely a vibe. And so, yeah, that's it. Manifestation hacks for when we feel as though the speed of our desires has stalled. And even if we don't feel that way, these hacks can also be used as little manifestation turbochargers. And who doesn't love that? So whether it is listening to subliminals, gratitude for things that have meaningful connection to our lives, living into the life that we desire, sending messages of appreciation to the people that we love, moving our bodies, even a little EFT in there too. And I am missing one. Oh, taking a break from checking or obsessing over scoreboard metrics that we think are some kind of measure of our success. Yes, use all or some of these today, most especially if we are feeling some level of discouragement lately. And if we happen to be wondering as to whether or not our dreams are still coming, or even if we're feeling frustrated because things just feel slow, I want you to remember this. Just because something hasn't arrived yet does not mean it isn't unfolding right now for you. The universe is not ignoring you. It never does. Sometimes things are rearranging behind the scenes in ways that we cannot yet see. And our job is not to force or mess with the hows. Our job is to trust and to keep our energy moving on a frequency that is open to receiving. Because as we have learned in last week's episode, our happiness cannot be postponed until the manifestation arrives. We have to find our joy now. And sometimes it is the joy itself that becomes the very magnet that pulls our desires in more quickly to us. And a quote that I love, and I honestly can't remember if it's Deepak Chopra or Wayne Dyer who said it, but it goes something like this. The universe has a plan greater than anything we can imagine, and sometimes the delays are simply divine preparation. So if you take nothing away from today's episode, please know that we have to trust the process and tell the universe this or something better, and then let go and get excited, because what you have asked for, you will receive. And that is going to be a wrap for this week. I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. And if you did, I would just love it if you would provide me with a rating or a review, follow the pod, and even share the episode with a friend. All of this is always so helpful, and I'm extra grateful if you can take the time to help your girl out. Also, if you haven't noticed, I am posting more on my Instagram, so please check me out there too and give a follow. I'm at Joy-Filled Universe. And looking through my notes, that's all I've got for this week. Oh wait, one more. Let's give an extra cuddle and hug to all the wonderful women in our lives this week, because Mother's Day was yesterday. But it is never too late to tell the special ladies in our world that we love them. And it doesn't always have to be a mom. It can be a sister, an auntie, a godmother, a daughter, a girlfriend, a mom of a fur baby. Indeed, the list is so long. So spread the love, and happy Mother's Day. And on that note, I am your host, Lisa Ryan. This is the Joy-Filled Universe podcast, where we explore all the tools and tricks that are going to make your universe even more joyful than it already is. And I will see you next week. Bye.